Good afternoon, Hattiesburg. It's Toby Barker. Thank you for joining us for this Monday afternoon briefing on COVID-19. I hope you all had a great Mother's Day yesterday. Today we're going to go through today's numbers. We're going to talk about some particular insights that we found in the last few days about our community testing. We're going to talk about kind of where does our recovery go from here, particularly as it pertains to restaurants. We'll talk about a couple of free testing opportunities this week, and of course our regular act of courage. Today's numbers, these are system-wide numbers for all of our healthcare organizations, Forest General's 19 counties, Merit Health Wesley's 18 counties, the several counties covered by Semri and Hattiesburg Clinic. But as of today, total tests, we've seen 7,807 total tests. 914 of those have come back positive. Again, those are not all in Forest and Lamar counties, and they are not all active cases. 6,604 have come back negative. We have 287 tests that are pending. The reason that you saw that pending number fall over the weekend is because we're doing a lot more tests now as a requirement before you go in for a major surgery. With none of those happening on Saturday or Sunday, it gives those tests time to be processed without adding to the backlog. And so pending tests down to 287. In the hospital right now, we have 39 patients who are positive for COVID-19. That's above the average for the past 14 days of 36.43. In terms of ICU utilization, we have 15. That's around the average for the last 14 days. You can kind of see on this chart kind of how those numbers have gone and tracked over time. We've been, in terms of hospitalizations, aside from one dip, we've been between this 35 and 41 number between our two hospitals, both Merit Health and Forest General. The ICU admissions, we kind of hovered around the 15 mark. We went up to about 19 in parts of last week, and then we've been at 15 throughout the weekend, and of course all 15 of those are at Forest General. Totals per county, we've had a good couple of days in Forest County. We added 5 cases yesterday, 1 case this morning to bring our total to 315. Lamar County is at 156, and for the entire metro area that's 471. Those are not all active cases. Again, a lot of those folks have recovered, but since this began in mid-March, 471 total people in our metro area have tested positive for COVID-19. A better indicator of where we are going in terms of trends are our 5-day average. This takes a particular day. It takes the new positive tests for that day. It averages it with the 2 days prior for new positive tests and the 2 days after for new positive tests. And last week was not a great week for us because we peaked at a new number for both in Forest County and in the entire metro area. But over the weekend, we started to see the Forest County numbers start to come down. It was just over 12 just for our county and running 5-day average. That's fallen to between 8 and 9 right now. Lamar County has ticked up just a little bit. It's approaching 6 on its 5-day average. And so those are kind of the numbers that we always give you every day, but there's been some questions that we've received on social media and some questions that we've been asking about kind of digging further into those numbers, and we've gotten some answers over the last couple of days that I've found really interesting and wanted to share with you. For example, right now, total tests were down last weekend. Now, this is just at the Cough and Fever Clinic, which is where a lot of our outpatient testing comes through. And so that's the Cough and Fever Clinic is the Forest General Hattiesburg Clinic collaboration down by the 49 South Walmart. Just to show you how far they were down, on Saturday we had 20 people who came in to test total. On Sunday, we had 34 people come in to test, and that's total. These are folks usually who are exhibiting symptoms of cough, fever, shortness of breath, or they may have had an exposure at work and they wanted to come and just get checked out. And so one question we asked ourselves was, just being sort of cynical, is, well, I realized there were only 54 tests done total, but how does that compare to last weekend, because this was a holiday weekend? And so we went back a weekend. And last weekend we had 70 tests on Saturday and 44 tests on Sunday, so still a significant drop. And then factoring in that it's a holiday weekend, we said, well, let's pick a different holiday weekend and see how it tracked from there. And we picked Easter, which was in mid-April. And so on the Saturday before Easter, we had 60 people come in to be tested for COVID-19 at that clinic, and 37 on Easter Sunday. And so 60 and 37, but then fast forward to this past weekend again, and we only had 20 and 34. So it was a good weekend for us in terms of fewer people coming in for testing, because that usually means that fewer people are going to test positive, and maybe this means we're starting to really kind of control where this goes for the time being. The second insight we have is that some of Forest County's new positive cases are in long-term care facilities. if you factor in that since May 1st, we've had 108 new positive tests in Forest County. We then wanted to see, well, how many new positive tests have we seen in long-term care facilities? And so May 1st, we had 21 positive cases. That's 21 total since this began in mid-March. That's as of May 1st. On May 11th, we checked that number again today, and that's 48. So 27 new positive cases in long-term care facilities just in Forest County. So 108 total new positive tests in Forest County. Now we know that 27 of them, right at 25%, are in long-term care facilities. This doesn't diminish the seriousness or the impact, but it does give an insight as to how prevalent the idea of community transmission is in the Hattiesburg area. And finally, the third insight we have comes from our people who are on the ground testing, and they're seeing a lot of cases that where new positives were infected by someone in their family or their household. So this means that someone had it, they passed it to their spouse, or they passed it to their roommate, and so again, more positive cases coming, but typically they're isolated at the same household and in these situations. And again, this is certainly not a majority of the cases or a significant number, but when you factor in this and the fact that 25% are in long-term care facilities, again, still very, very serious, but it does give an idea to what the true indicator of community transmission is. And so this leads us to the question, where do we go from here? We've been fighting this thing on kind of one front up until now, and that was just controlling it and trying to not let it get out of hand so that it overwhelmed our healthcare system. And now we're kind of moving to, how does this guide us as we try to reopen things and try to practice and get things going creatively. So up until now, we've had two goals. These have been our two goals from mid-March to now: is protect vulnerable populations, people over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions, but also prevent overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread, so that if and when you need healthcare, it will be available to you because we haven't overloaded the resources that we have. I'll tell you that these will always be two goals of ours, as long as COVID-19 is a threat, and as long as we have this without a treatment or a vaccine. But there's a new set of goals that we're starting to work toward as well, and those are our recovery goals for the Hattiesburg area. And the first one that we've really defined is we want to prioritize public health while giving the private sector space to operate creatively. You've seen us do this as we started to reopen what's called non-essential retail, which are your clothing stores and shoe stores. At first it was by appointment only, and then we said, we can let you have some in-store capacity if people wear masks and if we sort of limit how many people are in the building at the same time. You saw us do this today as barbershops and hair salons and gyms and fitness centers open. Again, letting people kind of get out and letting businesses do their thing, while also trying to do some basic safeguards as to try and reduce the risk of community transmission, which is why everyone's wearing masks right now, as we're getting out amongst each other. The risk is there, but we can reduce that risk by wearing masks. Last weekend with restaurants, we said that we would hold off, we would delay the in-house dining because it's really hard to wear a mask if you're eating something. And so we said we would delay that, but we would monitor Hattiesburg's data through the weekend and to see where the numbers go. And if there was a leveling off or a drop off over the weekend, we left open the possibility that we could have communal dining this week. And again, I'll take you back to our 5-day average. We saw that leveling off and even a little bit of a drop. Now, some of that is due because it was the weekend, but there were reasonably significant drops, and we hope that trend continues. With that said, we want to be true to our word, and so today we're going to announce that beginning Thursday, this Thursday at 8 a.m., restaurants can resume serving outdoors, and people can do outdoor dining with some limitations. Of course, governor's order limits capacity to 50% of seating. They must close by 10 p.m. There's also a lot of social distancing minimums: 6 feet between tables, cleaning and sanitation, employee and customer COVID screening before they're allowed to come in to come in and sit. That are all part of Governor Reeves' Order 1478. And if you're a restaurant owner or you work at a restaurant, I would thoroughly review those because they are robust. And of course, bars that are not serving food shall remain closed for the time being. So we're letting people go and do outdoor seating at restaurants starting Thursday at 8 a.m. Now, the question has come up, what if restaurants don't have outdoor dining capacity? Well, in an attempt to try and be creative and try to work with folks, the city is going to allow a temporary conversion of parking spaces to outdoor dining while we're making this transition to open up our restaurants. The same limit supply, you cannot serve more than 50% of your indoor capacity if you're going to move tables out there. If you're going to take up parking spaces with dining areas, then you are going to have to mark off those dining areas clearly and separate them to also ensure that you can continue the traffic flow in your parking lot around your restaurant. The one thing you cannot do is hinder ADA access, so not moving it to handicap parking spaces. And again, they must meet all the same social distancing minimums, the cleaning and sanitation standards, the employee, worker, and the COVID and customer COVID screening questions that are all in Governor Reeves' Order 1478. We believe this is a measured step forward that we can do to, again, give our private sector the space to operate creatively, while also prioritizing public health. And I realize this may generate a lot of questions among restaurants, so we welcome you to email us or to call us, and we will help you work through this situation and how best to navigate it, because we are trying to be flexible with allowing conversion of parking spaces to outdoor dining areas, and we'll kind of see how this goes for the next week or so. I want to bring your attention to two testing opportunities, free testing opportunities that are coming to our community. Of course, you always have the Cough and Fever Clinic at near 49 Walmart, but we also have one that we've promoted before at the Southeast Mississippi Rural Health Initiative Family Health Center at 66 Old Airport Road in Palmer's Crossing in South Hattiesburg. This Wednesday from 9 to 1, you can drive through and be tested for COVID-19. There's no appointment necessary. If you're watching from Perry County, you'll have the same opportunity the following Tuesday in Beaumont and the following Thursday in Covington County in Seminary. We also found out about a new opportunity yesterday. This is going to happen Thursday from noon to 4 at Vernon Damer Park in South Hattiesburg. This is one that our Forest County Emergency Management, Glenn Moore and his team, as well as our Forest County Board of Supervisors, really worked hard to make happen for our community. And this is a partnership with the Department of Health and University Medical Center. This is also free drive-through testing. Of course, Vernon Damer Park is on Country Club Road. The one thing about this one is you will need an appointment, and you can do that appointment two ways. You can download the C Spire Health app, and they will actually screen you with a doctor on the health app, or you can call, if you don't have a smartphone, you can call 601-496-7200. That's 601-496-7200. Again, two very good free testing opportunities in our community that you should take. If you've been exposed to someone or if you're feeling symptomatic, we encourage you to take advantage of those. In our Act of Courage today, we want to spotlight a senior, high school senior who is finishing up her high school career, who happens to also be on the Mayor's Youth Council. This is Caroline Azar, and over the past couple of weeks, Caroline has written notes of encouragement and attached a piece of candy. Who doesn't like a piece of candy? Has written notes of encouragement to all of our city employees. And if you didn't know, we have right under 700 city employees, and Caroline Azar wrote a note to every single one of them and dropped them off. And this has been a tough time for our city workforce for a number of reasons, and we appreciate her and serving her community by doing this and really lifting everyone's spirits on Friday when she delivered these. The other act of courage you want to mention is this is Police Week, and of course, on Saturday, we had a very solemn anniversary with the deaths of Dean and Tate, but this is the week we celebrate Police Week every year, and we honor the 6 men and women who gave their lives in the line of duty for the Hattiesburg Police Department. We also remember the many in the Forest County Sheriff's Department and many with Highway Patrol and other law enforcement agencies. This is the week that all of those are remembered. There are tough times for many families who are still out there, many communities who grieve this week. And so this will not look like a typical police week because of COVID-19. But we do invite you to say a prayer for these families. We do also invite you to wear blue on Thursday, but I'll be giving more details about that. And as we start the week, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself physically and mentally, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and remember, you're always safer at home. Have a great week.